Live from Green Bay Distillery in the shadow of Lambeau Field, you're going inside the huddle with Jordy Nelson.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into Inside the Huddle. I'm your host, Josh Moser, and the man next to me needs no introduction, a former host of the show, back for a special episode. Let's give him a warm welcome, everybody, Mr. Jordy Nelson.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Good to be back in town.
That applause right there is like you just scored 4 touchdowns in a game. You're going
I
to the
didn't even
playoffs?
get that when I scored touchdowns. I should have retired a long time ago. You get more cheers that way.
Fans, how about one more welcome? Come on,
No,
let's do
we're
this
good.
right. Let's set this off. Let's set this off. Jordy, there's so many 87 jerseys here. We've got standing room only. What does it mean to you to receive this type of support after retiring, after not playing here for a couple years?
It's humbling. I think it's obviously I appreciate it. Not that you expect it, but the fans in Green Bay and their surrounding areas are obviously very diehard and the best in the league. So you kind of go to get used to it, but it's fun. It's fun to come back. It's fun to see them, and their support's very appreciated.
I know everybody watching at home wants to know what you've been doing. So take us through a standard week now in retirement and what it feels like.
Oh, standard week's pretty random, but for the most part, just working on the farm with my brother. He's 2 years older than me, but he farms for a living, and so I just help him. If it's harvesting right now, we're just got done cutting soybeans and getting ready to pick and shell some more corn. Working cattle, bringing them in out the pasture. So normal old life, hanging out with family, but yeah.
Going back to the roots.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so it all started. Well, we've got to talk about the Packers. This team 7-2 right now. Are you following closely? Are you watching every Sunday?
Yeah, I watch. I think I've seen every game. Maybe 1 or 2 I've missed, but for the most part, I watch. Absolutely. There's enough guys still on the team that you pay attention to and want to watch how they're doing. Was able to make it to the Kansas City game last week and see a bunch of the guys and make it to the game. So it's been fun. They're dealing with a lot, but they're playing well. I think if you told them they'd be 7-2 at the beginning of the year, they would have took it. So
sure.
But there's obviously room for improvement, like there is even if they were 9-0. So. That's the way the season goes, and hopefully they can get healthy and stay healthy and keep moving in the right direction.
Yeah, still got the bye week coming up, which will be whose. Brings us to our Hupie and Abraham good drive of the game. Hupie and Abraham reminding you not to text and drive, and it's kind of vintage Aaron Rodgers. We see him all the time, getting outside of the pocket, just knows where his receiver is. In this case, it's running back Jamal Williams. He's actually got 5 touchdown catches. That's the most by a running back since 2003, since Amon Green did it. But how does this work with Aaron? Is it just special? Is it him? Is it innate?
It's a little bit of everything, and it's everyone. And you can see these guys, like someone like Jamal, who's grown over the last few years. You see him getting more and more comfortable with it and understanding how it works. You always see the young guys when they come in, and Aaron gets out of the pocket, and they kind of just stand there and don't know what to do, or they think it's over with. And then each year they get better and better at figuring it out. And then over the course of time, they really get in a rhythm with it and understand what to do and how to do it. And are able to make big plays. It's the second opportunities within that play that he gets to extend it, and usually turns out to be very productive, very big play, if not a touchdown. So it's fun to watch them develop and get a feel for that, because it is a feel thing. You have to kind of understand it, and it's a timing thing as well.
You had such great chemistry with Aaron, and now it's kind of Devontae Adams' turn taking over here. How have you seen him progress? I know you probably remember him as a rookie coming into the groom, and now he's in charge.
Absolutely. I think just through everything, his athletic ability from day one was unbelievable, and you could see that his explosiveness, his quickness, but it's the details that he's putting in now on making sure he's maximizing those skills that he has. Obviously working on the other ones, but he's able to still create that separation and make the play, be consistent with it week in and week out, and I think you saw that last year. Obviously he's been banged up this year to really put him not able to get to the fast start that he would want, but last year you could see it week in and week out that he's going to get his 8 to 10 catches, 100 and some odd yards and a touchdown, and that was the norm for him. So, and that's where I think you separate yourself from a good player in this league to one of the greats, is when you're able to do it for 16 weeks. It's not 4 weeks out of the season. It's for the full season. It's the expectation and the standard that you set. And when you're able to do it week in and week out, that's when you're one of the best in the game at that time.
All about the consistency.
Absolutely. It matters, especially with someone like Aaron, who expects you to do the same thing, all the time to where he can rely on you. It's how you become reliable. It's the work that you put in throughout the week of practice, and then he'll trust you because you've done it all week in practice. You've done it in the game. You've done it 4 games in a row, now 5. So it just snowballs, and it's just the work that you put in, and you reap the benefits later.
Yeah. Wish we had an hour to go through all this. Unfortunately, we've only got a half hour, so we got to take our first commercial break here on Inside the Huddle. We're back to the Green Bay Distillery right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for all of the crowd support. Great crowd on hand tonight. I'm Josh Moser. He is Jordy Nelson, talking Packers here in 2019. And you're not on the field anymore, officially retired, but you still are checking out a few games. And we want to pull this up from Dallas because you were actually there for the Cowboys game against the Packers. Randall Cobb now playing, of course, in Dallas, and you were repping one of his colleges, Little Kentucky on.
I did. I don't know how much grief I caught from that on social media or not, but when you go to Dallas to see a friend and you're sitting in his seats and staying at his house, you support him. So I figured that's about as neutral as I could be right there. So I got our equipment guys from K-State to get a hold of the guys in Kentucky, and they sent out a jersey, so I was able to wear it, and he was pretty shocked by it. So it was good. But it was fun to be down there, again, to see everyone. And James Jones was there and with his wife and his 2 boys, and so we hung out Monday after the game and whatnot. So it's always fun to get back together with the guys and have a good time.
So what's it like sitting in an actual seat watching the game? Or is there an itch like, I could have made that play? Or is it like,
Just like every former player of anything, you can always make that play because you can't be wrong now. But these games aren't as near stressful as we got tickets to the K-State games because it's 20 minutes from our house. So I was at the game where we upset OU, and that was nerve-wracking to me for some reason. I was all sorts of stressed out as we were getting ready to blow a 25-point lead. But it is a little different, and I understand where the fans get. I mean, that's why the fans freak out all the time because they have no control over it. And as players, you're pretty calm and understand what's going on. And week to week, it's not that big of a deal. But, when you can't do anything about it, it gets a little nerve-wracking and a little stressful. So it's not bad, though.
We got a lot of number 87s in the crowd tonight, but on the Packers team now, we've got a new number 87 on the team, and that's Jay Sternberger. How do you feel about passing your number on and seeing somebody else wear that?
It doesn't bother me at all. I know I wasn't the first one to put 87 on, so there's a lot of great ones before me, and it's part of it. So it'll be interesting to watch him develop, and I don't know much about him besides being drafted this last year. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll never forget when we were beat Chicago. We were playing Chicago in the NFC Championship game. I got a picture with Willie Davis in the locker room because he was our honorary captain, and obviously he wore 87. So it was you have those connections and whatnot. So
got Robert Brooks as well wearing 87.
Yep. So yeah, I mean it's part of the history of the Packers, and it's always interesting to look back and see who has had it before you, and you try to become part of that history.
Yeah, got to carry on that legacy.
Absolutely. You just better not screw it up.
Yeah, there you go. He's got some big shoes to fill. Time for another quick commercial break here on Inside the Huddle. We're back with Jordy Nelson right after this. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the Huddle. We are here with Jordy Nelson. And we've got to give another big round of applause for the Packers team physician. This is Mr. Dr. Pat McKenzie. Say hello to everybody. Jordy gives a big clap. The reason Jordy's clapping so much for everybody at home, you're responsible for reconstructing Jordy's knee, tore his ACL, come back as the NFL Comeback Player of the Year.
Yes.
Pretty special. Jordy's eating this up. But,
absolutely.
We're seeing
One
a lot.
Multiple times you cut me open, but we're good.
So tell us about this relationship, because we can see the smiles, and this happened for long years.
It has. Doc is awesome. He, when you go into different situations with different doctors or whatnot, you don't always know how they care about you or what they're thinking, or technically whose side are they on and what they want to do. But Doc is one that didn't care what the injury was. It was going to be another week or two before he got back on the field. He cared about us as people. He didn't really. It was a game. The game on Sunday is a game. He cared about us as people and made sure we were healthy and what was right, not only for the next week or the season or 5 seasons, but he's looking at when we're 30, 40, 50, 60. I mean, there's a lot more going on than the 5 years, 10 years, you might be playing football. So as much as we hated it, it was very appreciative as well. So he made sure we were ready to go before we got out there.
So, Doc, with an ACL specifically, there's an opportunity to use a cadaver tissue. There's also, you can harvest tissue from the body. What's the difference, and how do you decide to go which route, and maybe compare that to an elite athlete versus, the average person that's getting an ACL repaired?
I mean, it comes down to, when you look to a statistically significant level, it's all the same. Underneath that level, each decision we ever make in medicine comes with a price. And the price in our world is functionality, never being here again, and a good result. And for that reason, we, for the most part, use the patient's own patellar tendon, as long as there's not another reason. And we've kind of grown to that as you look at statistics. For a while, the hot thing was everybody got a cadaver. And as we've morphed and studied them a little bit, I think right now everybody's settled in. For the most part, gold standard is going to be your own patellar tendon.
Recovery, another focus once you have the surgery. Jordy, what was that process like, and what was the communication between the two of you to get you back on the field? As you're shaking your head, this is a process.
It's a process. There's so many inside stories. Sometimes there's not a lot of communication because you don't want him to know what you're doing because we're pushing the limits. But it's a long process, and a lot of it, the first couple weeks or week and a half or so, of getting the range back in your leg. And that's the biggest thing, is allowing, to lay on the training table. It's some of the most brutal pain you'll have, and then having one of the trainers literally just force your heel eventually to your butt and tell you how full range. And when he's saying use the patella tendon, which is the front of your knee, that feels like it's about ready to pop right open. So that was the worst part. But then once we got that range done and you're off walking and you don't have the big brace or crutches or anything, then it was just a process of getting everything strong again. But talking about communication, he had dates or timelines when I could run and sprint or whatever, and we didn't inform him that we were already doing some of that.
Sure.
And so then we went into the creek. We're like, come watch. He's going to go run today. Come over and watch. So he finally got in there, and I just took off running, and he came up to me as, there's no way this is your first day running. Yes. I was like, yeah, it's been about a week and a half. So. But the other athletic trainers, Nate and Flea, they do a great job, and you just got to go how the body goes. And it felt good, so we kept rolling, and it was a smooth process. But again, he tries to, see the big picture of things and not see who can run the fastest after having surgery.
And there's some great facilities over at Bell and Health. We're getting a lot of athletes from the NBA coming here. We know Cam Newton was here last week as well. Just specifically with recovery, Doc, we have all this cryotherapy. We've got lasers where you're affecting things at just a cellular level. How much has all of that progressed in order to get these athletes back on the field? Because at a time, you tore your ACL and your career was over.
It's made huge progress in our recovery endeavors and what we do and how we direct them. And all of them come with different benefits. The ability for us to have concrete evidence and show them, here's what you look like when you're doing this, and not just a video, but also graphics, and here's how you're landing and all that kind of stuff, can be incredibly valuable. And so I think it's a huge deal right now. But I go back to watching Jordy, who is kind of the iconic symbol I always use for how you get through this process. And I don't know, other than the day we talked about it, that Jordy ever was down. At least that he let us see it.
Sure.
Every day he was up. Jordy used to carry his own coolers full of ice to the car so he could ice when he got home, and he'd bring them in cleaned to start again the next day. He was absolutely meticulous. He was never looking for anybody to do his work. All he would do is come in and look to be directed. And like he said, Nate and Flea did a phenomenal job of directing him through.
Yeah. Some really great inside information there. I want to thank you, Doc. I want to thank you, Jordy, for kind of opening up on something that's not really talked about a lot here, at least in media. We got to take a quick commercial break here on Inside the Huddle. We're back with more right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Huddle. We've got a special Bell and Health edition this week with Jordy Nelson. I want to give a quick shout-out again. Thank you very much, Dr. Pat McKenzie. It's now time for our audience questions. We know how much the fans love to interact with you, so our first question tonight is from Randy from De Pere, Wisconsin. There we go. We got to get that right. Wisconsin. There we go. Randy, what's your question?
What is your favorite thing that you've done since retiring?
I think the favorite thing I've been able to do is go back to K-State and tailgate before football games.
Yeah. They love the tailgate here.
I grew up doing it. We had season tickets as kids, and so we'd be out there every Saturday tailgating, playing football, going to the game. And so now we got season tickets. We take our kids. They're playing catch in the parking lot, running around, having a good time. So I think my wife is about tired of hearing me talk about tailgating, and because I've had a blast doing it. It's fun to be a fan again, so that's probably the most enjoyable thing so far.
Next question is from Becky from El Dorado. Becky, what's your question?
Wow, my question is, first of all, this is the only jersey I've ever bought with your name on it.
Thank you.
What do you miss most about the team since you retired? What do you miss?
It's the guys, without a doubt. And that's why it's fun to get back together with them or try to find an excuse to get back together. If it's going down to Dallas and seeing Randall, coming up here and visiting with Devontae and Mason and Aaron and those guys, or even still seeing James Jones or different guys throughout that I've played with. So everyone always says that that's what you'll miss is the locker room, the guys, and hanging out with them. So it's fun to try to, like I said earlier, make up an excuse to go get together if it's a game or someone's birthday, or we've said everyone needs to retire like evenly spaced out so we have a reason to get together and throw a party, So
there you go.
You have to have an excuse.
One more real quick. All the way from Utah. Deb, what's your question?
So my question is, will you be coaching your kids' teams now that you're retired?
I will start helping out with that. I just actually signed my oldest son up for basketball and is going to help coach that. And then I've helped with baseball before and everything. So right now with their Little League stuff, I will help out. It'll be fun to see them develop. And I don't know if they'll enjoy Daddy being a coach or not, but we'll find out.
The dad life.
Man.
Retired and living good on the farm with the kids. The Midwest way. Thanks for opening up to the fans. Jordy, time now for another quick commercial break. We're back right after this. Don't touch that remote. Welcome back, everybody. We've got to end the show. Of course, it is the Super Bowl touchdown. Jordy, is there a favorite moment of your career that you kind of look back on and just kind of hang your hat?
Oh, man. Not really, not one. I mean, obviously the Super Bowl touchdown is an easy one to pick and kind of propelled a lot of things for my career. But
yeah.
A lot of it probably was maybe the celebration down there with my wife, and our oldest had just turned 1 that week, so being on the field and seeing the confetti and doing all that. But just being out there on Sundays, it's just fun. I was 30-some years old sometimes playing a kid's sport and running around catching a football. So that never got old. It was always fun to do it. So.
Well, we really appreciate you. I know the fans here really appreciated all your years in Green Bay and now having you back. That is it for the show, everybody. We've got Donald Driver next week. For a big round of applause, we send Jordy off. Thanks for being here. A mainstay in Green Bay for years to come. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.